The massive council chamber stretched across 3 miles of polished crystal floors. 12 different alien species sat around the circular table, each representing worlds that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Their voices echoed through the vast space as they discussed trade routes and mining rights. Ambassador Ryan Brooks sat in the smallest chair at the far end of the table. His human form looked tiny compared to the towering Zephyrians with their scaled skin and razor-sharp claws. The insect-like Vorthan clicked their mandibles in what humans had learned was laughter. Even the peaceful Altarians, who resembled walking trees, seemed to tower over him with silent judgment. The human requests protection for their outer colonies, announced High Counselor Vextar, his serpentine voice dripping with amusement. The massive Zephyrian leader stood 12 feet tall, his golden scales catching the chamber's artificial light. They fear our expansion into unclaimed space. More clicking sounds filled the air. The Vorthan representative, Hive Mind Zelka, spoke through her translator device. Humans have been in space for barely 50 years. They understand nothing of galactic law. Ryan Brooks stood up slowly. His simple blue suit looked plain next to the elaborate armor and biological modifications of the other species. Honorable counselors, we're not asking for special treatment. We just want our people to live in peace. 3 of our colonies lie directly in the path of Zephyrian expansion. New Austin has 2 million civilians. Haven Point has families with children. The chamber erupted in what humans had learned to recognize as alien laughter. The sound was awful. Clicks, hisses, and deep rumbling noises that made Ryan's teeth ache. Children, repeated Counselor Thane of the crystal-based Quarians. His voice sounded like breaking glass. Humans breed so quickly. Like insects. Perhaps that is why they spread to so many worlds so fast, added the Altarian speaker, her voice like wind through leaves. They multiply without wisdom. High Counselor Vextar raised one massive clawed hand for silence. The Zephyrian Empire has claimed mineral rights to the Kepler 442 system for over 3 centuries. Human colonies established there are illegal. Ryan pulled out a datapad. His hand shook slightly as he read from official documents. According to galactic settlement law, any system left unused for more than 200 years becomes available for colonization. We filed proper claims. We followed every rule. Rules written by superior species for superior species, Vextar replied. His yellow eyes glowed with amusement. Humans lack the strength to enforce such claims. The Vorthan hive mind clicked her mandibles rapidly. Their weapons are primitive projectile systems. Their ships move slowly. They pose no threat to any civilized world. Ryan felt his face grow hot with anger, but he kept his voice steady. We've contributed to galactic trade. We've shared our medical knowledge. We've never attacked anyone. Because you cannot, said Counselor Thane. Your species is weak. You have no natural armor. No enhanced strength, no hive minds or collective consciousness. You are alone, small, and fragile. The other counselors nodded or made sounds of agreement. Ryan looked around the chamber and saw nothing but contempt. In 12 different types of alien eyes, these beings saw humans as barely more than animals. I'm asking you to reconsider, Ryan said quietly. Our people just want to live. High Counselor Vextar stood to his full height. His shadow fell across Ryan like a dark cloud. The Zephyrian Empire will take what belongs to us. If humans stand in our way, they will be moved. This council recognizes Zephyrian rights to all claimed territories. Seconded, came voices from around the table. The vote was over before it began. Ryan gathered his papers with trembling fingers. What about the civilians? The families? Survival of the fittest is universal law, Vextar replied. Weak species make room for strong ones. This has always been the way. As Ryan walked toward the chamber exit, alien voices followed him. Perhaps humans will learn to serve their betters. They might make adequate servants if properly trained. Their small size could be useful for maintenance work. Ryan Brooks left the council chamber with his head held high, but inside, his heart was breaking. He had failed his people. The most powerful beings in the galaxy had just signed humanity's death warrant, and they were laughing about it. 3 days later, the attacks began. Zephyrian battle fleets appeared at the edge of the new Austin system. Without warning, the human colony's defense ships were ancient converted cargo vessels with light weapons. They lasted exactly 14 minutes against advanced alien warships. The orbital bombardment started at dawn, local time. Plasma cannons turned the colony's main city into glass and ash. 50,000 people died in the first hour. The lucky ones died quickly in the initial strikes. Others suffocated when the atmospheric processors were destroyed. Haven Point fell the same day. The Zephyrians used different tactics there. Biological weapons that poisoned the air and water. Families died in their homes, children crying for parents who could no longer help them. Frontier Station, the smallest of the 3 colonies, tried to surrender. The Zephyrians accepted the surrender, then executed every human adult and took the children as slaves. The news reached Earth within hours through quantum communication relays. In his office deep beneath the Pentagon, General Jake Morrison read the casualty reports with growing fury. 53,000 civilians dead, 8,000 children missing, presumed enslaved. Jake Morrison was a man who had seen war before. He had fought in the corporate wars of 2341 and the Martian independence conflict. He knew death and suffering. But this was different. This was genocide, carried out by beings who saw humans as insects to be crushed. He picked up his secure phone and dialed a number known to only 12 people on Earth. "This is Morrison. Authorization code Sierra 77 Alpha. I need an immediate meeting with the Shadow Cabinet." The voice on the other end was crisp and professional. "Confirmed, General. Meeting in 1 hour. Bunker Complex 7. Jake Morrison." Hung up the phone and looked out his window at the peaceful Earth sky. Soon the galaxy would learn that there were worse things than Zephyrian claws and plasma cannons. There were humans with nothing left to lose. The bunker lay 300 feet beneath the Colorado mountains. General Jake Morrison walked through corridors that officially did not exist on any government record. Armed guards nodded as he passed, their faces grim with the knowledge of what had happened to the colonies. Jake entered the main conference room where 11 other people waited around a metal table. These were the Shadow Cabinet, the secret military council that planned for humanity's worst nightmares. Each person represented a different aspect of Earth's hidden military power. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jake began, his voice echoing off the concrete walls. 53,000 of our people are dead. The galaxy thinks we're weak. They think we'll roll over and accept this massacre." Dr. Kate Sullivan looked up from her tablet. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes burned with intelligence. As Earth's top military strategist, she had spent decades studying alien warfare patterns. "I've analyzed the Zephyrian attack formations. They're using standard galactic conquest protocols. Orbital bombardment, ground occupation, resource extraction. Standard for them," said Colonel Sam Parker. The Special Forces commander's scarred face showed no emotion, but his hands were clenched into fists. They have no idea what human warfare really looks like. Lisa Carter, head of Earth's Intelligence Division, activated a hologram projector. Images of alien ships and battle plans filled the air above the table. "Our agents have been gathering information on every council species for 20 years. The aliens think we're primitive because we still use projectile weapons and chemical explosives. They don't understand that we chose these weapons," added General Pete Davis, commander of Earth's ground forces. "Plasma weapons are efficient, but they leave electronic signatures. Laser cannons are precise, but they require massive power sources. Our bullets are invisible to their sensors." Jake Morrison stood at the head of the table. Behind him, a wall screen showed the locations of every human colony in space. Red marks indicated the 3 that had been destroyed. "The Council expects us to file diplomatic protests. They expect us to beg for mercy. Instead, we're going to show them why humans conquered their own planet before they ever left it." Captain Alex Turner, commander of Earth's newest battlecruiser, leaned forward. "The Defiance is ready for deployment. My crew has been training for this kind of operation for 5 years." What about the other council species? Asked Dr. Sullivan. They'll support the Zephyrians if they see us as a threat to galactic order, so. Carter smiled coldly. Our intelligence networks have been very busy. Did you know that the Vorthon hive mind has been illegally harvesting sentient species for their genetic experiments? Or that the Quarians have been strip mining inhabited worlds in the Outer Rim? Every species on that council has committed acts that would be considered war crimes by human standards, Jake said. They operate under different moral codes. They see violence as natural, conquest as right. They've never faced an enemy that fights the way we do. Colonel Parker activated his own display. Images of human special forces appeared on the screens. Ghost Battalion has been preparing for asymmetric warfare against technologically superior enemies. We've developed new tactics specifically for fighting in space environments. The aliens fight with honor codes and established battle doctrines, Pete Davis explained. They announce their attacks, follow predictable patterns, treat warfare like a formal dance. We learned to fight on a world where everything wanted to kill us. We developed tactics to survive against superior predators. Dr. Sullivan pulled up biological data on the major alien species. I've been studying their physiologies for years. The Zephyrians have enhanced strength and natural armor, but their respiratory systems are surprisingly fragile. The Vorthons share a hive consciousness, which means disrupting their communication networks causes mass confusion. Every species has weaknesses, Lisa Carter added. Physical, psychological, and technological. The council races have been at peace for so long that they've forgotten what real war looks like. Jake Morrison looked around the table at the faces of humanity's secret weapons. These people had spent their careers preparing for this moment, even though they had hoped it would never come. Operation Prometheus is now active, Jake announced. Captain Turner, your fleet will deploy to the Kepler 442 system. Colonel Parker, Ghost Battalion will begin infiltration operations. Dr. Sullivan, I want psychological warfare protocols implemented immediately. What about the media? Asked someone from the back of the room. The civilian population will want to know what we're doing. The civilians will know what they need to know, Jake replied. This is total war, people. The aliens want to treat us like animals. We'll show them what happens when you corner a predator. Captain Turner stood up. Sir, the Defiance can be ready for departure in 6 hours. My crew is already aboard and preparing systems. Make it 4 hours, Jake ordered. Every minute we delay, the Zephyrians consolidate their positions in our territory. As the meeting broke up, Dr. Sullivan approached Jake privately. General, are you sure about this course of action? Once we start down this path, there's no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. Jake Morrison looked at the photos of the destroyed colonies on his tablet. Images of families who would never go home. Children who would never grow up. Dreams that had been turned to ash by alien weapons. Good, he said quietly. I want them to fear us. I want every species in the galaxy to know that humans are not prey. We're apex predators and we've been holding back. Dr. Sullivan nodded slowly. Then God help them all. Above ground, Earth's factories began retooling for war production. Assembly lines that made civilian goods were converted to produce weapons and armor. Shipyards that built cargo vessels started constructing warships. The entire planet was transforming itself into a weapon. The aliens had made a fatal mistake. They had attacked humanity expecting weakness and surrender. Instead, they had awakened something that had been sleeping in the human soul since the first caveman picked up a rock and decided to fight back against the darkness. The galaxy was about to learn why humans had no natural predators. The Kepler 442 system looked peaceful from a distance. 3 planets orbited a yellow star, and the ruins of New Austin Colony still smoldered on the second world. Zephyrian ships moved in slow patterns around the planets, confident in their victory. High Admiral Kreshtar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Bone Crusher. The massive Zephyrian felt proud as he watched his fleet organize their new conquest. 67 warships patrolled the system, each one capable of destroying entire cities. His forces had taken human territory without losing a single vessel. The humans have not responded to our occupation, reported his tactical officer, a younger Zephyrian with bright green scales. Our sensors detect no approaching fleets. Kreshitar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. They have no fleet worth mentioning. Their ships are cargo vessels with weapons bolted on. We could destroy their entire space navy with a single battle group. On the other side of the system, something much different was happening. Captain Alex Turner crouched in the command center of the Earth battlecruiser Defiance, but his ship was not alone. Surrounding him in the asteroid field were 43 human vessels, each one designed for a specific purpose. Ghost Leader, this is Defiance Actual. Report status. Colonel Sam Parker's voice came through the secure communication channel. His Special Forces team was already aboard 3 different Zephyrian ships, having infiltrated them using methods the aliens had never seen before. We're in position, Captain. My people are scattered throughout their command vessels. The aliens have no idea we're here. Lieutenant Amy Walsh looked up from her tactical display. As the Defiance's weapons officer, she had been studying Zephyrian ship designs for months. Captain, their ships are impressive, but they have a critical weakness. They rely on centralized life support systems. If we can disrupt those systems, the crew suffocates, Alex finished. That's brutal, Lieutenant. So was killing 50,000 civilians, Amy replied coldly. Commander Nick Foster checked his fighter systems one final time. Around him, 60 other human pilots prepared for a type of space combat the galaxy had never witnessed. Their ships were small and fast, designed to confuse enemy sensors rather than engage in direct combat. All fighter wings. This is Phantom, Leader. Remember, we're not here to destroy their ships. We're here to make them look the wrong way while Ghost Battalion does the real work. Copy that, Phantom Leader. Launching in 30 seconds. The human attack began at exactly 0347 hours system time. Nick Foster's fighters screamed out of the asteroid field in seemingly random directions. To Zephyrian sensors, it looked like a desperate, uncoordinated assault by inferior craft. Admiral Kreshitar watched the approaching human fighters with amusement. Look at them. They attack with no formation, no strategy. Destroy them all. Zephyrian point defense systems activated, sending streams of plasma fire toward the human fighters. But the small ships moved in patterns that made no sense to alien tactical computers. They twisted and rolled through space, avoiding most incoming fire through pure unpredictability. Sir, the human craft are not engaging our main ships, reported the tactical officer. They appear to be dancing around us. Dancing? Kreshitar's yellow eyes narrowed. What kind of attack is this? While the Zephyrians focused on the confusing fighter attack, Colonel Parker's Ghost Battalion was moving through their ships like deadly shadows. The human special forces had spent years learning to fight in zero-gravity environments. They moved through alien corridors using techniques borrowed from urban warfare and cave fighting. Sergeant Ben Cole crawled through a ventilation shaft in the Bone Crusher's engineering section. His small human size, which the aliens saw as weakness, allowed him to access areas that larger species could never reach. In his backpack were 20 pounds of explosives, specifically designed to disrupt alien technology. Ghost 3 in position. He whispered into his throat microphone, placing charges on primary life support now. Throughout the Zephyrian fleet, similar scenes played out. Human soldiers placed explosives on critical systems, but not the systems aliens expected. Instead of targeting weapons or engines, they focused on life support, artificial gravity, and communication networks. All Ghost units prepare for synchronized detonation in 60 seconds. Colonel Parker ordered from his position aboard the Zephyrian command ship. Admiral Kreshitar was growing frustrated with the human fighter attack. These insects refuse to engage properly. Send out interceptors to destroy them. But as Zephyrian fighters launched, Lieutenant Amy Walsh smiled grimly aboard the Defiance. All human fighters, execute dispersal pattern 7, lead them away from the main fleet. The human fighters suddenly changed their behavior, fleeing in apparent panic toward the outer system. Zephyrian interceptors followed, eager to finally engage the elusive human craft in direct combat. Now they run like cowards, Kreshitar growled. Pursue and destroy them all. Ghost Leader. Targets are isolated. Execute, execute, execute. The explosions began simultaneously throughout the Zephyrian fleet. But these were not the massive detonations that destroyed ships. Instead, they were precise, surgical strikes that cut power to life support systems across 67 alien vessels. Within minutes, Zephyrian crew members began collapsing as their air supply was cut off. Emergency systems failed to activate because the humans had sabotaged backup power as well. Panic spread through the alien ships as warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds found themselves gasping for breath in their own vessels. "What is happening?" Kreshtar demanded, but his own ship was losing atmosphere. The bridge crew began to weaken as oxygen levels dropped. "Sir," gasped the tactical officer, "all ships are reporting life support failure. We're losing crew throughout the fleet." Captain Turner watched the chaos through his ship's sensors. "Ghost Battalion, begin Phase 2. Capture all senior officers alive. We need information." Human soldiers moved through the disabled Zephyrian ships like hunters. The aliens, weakened by oxygen deprivation, could barely resist as they were taken prisoner. Within 2 hours, the entire Zephyrian occupation force was neutralized without the loss of a single human life. Admiral Kreshtar found himself in chains aboard a human ship, breathing through a mask that his captors controlled. The proud Zephyrian warrior who had massacred human colonies now depended on his enemies for every breath. "You fought without honor," he wheezed to Captain Turner. "You attacked from shadows like cowards." Alex Turner looked at the alien admiral with cold eyes. "You murdered children from orbit, you enslaved civilians, and you call us dishonorable?" News of the human victory spread quickly through galactic communication networks. For the first time in galactic history, a major fleet had been defeated without conventional ship-to-ship combat. The humans had used tactics that no alien species understood or expected. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency sessions began as representatives tried to understand what had happened. The humans hadn't just won a battle. They had introduced an entirely new type of warfare to the galaxy, and this was only the beginning. The news of the Kepler 442 defeat sent shockwaves through Zephyrian space. High Command had lost an entire fleet without understanding how it happened. Emergency meetings filled the grand halls of their capital world as military leaders tried to make sense of human tactics. General Jake Morrison stood in his command center on Earth, watching holographic displays show Zephyrian territory. Red dots marked enemy positions while blue arrows showed human fleet movements. The time for small victories was over. "Operation Prometheus is now fully active," Jake announced to his staff. "The aliens wanted a war. We're going to give them one they'll never forget." Captain Maria Lopez adjusted her ship's stealth systems as the shadow strike moved through empty space. Her vessel was completely invisible to Zephyrian sensors, using technology Earth had kept secret for decades. Around her, 12 other stealth ships moved toward different targets throughout enemy territory. All shadow units. This is Shadow Leader. Beginning supply line interdiction in 3 minutes. Remember, we're not just destroying their supplies, we're making them afraid to leave their home worlds. The first attacks came without warning. Zephyrian cargo ships simply vanished from hyperspace. Their crews found dead at their posts with no sign of weapons fire. Supply convoys disappeared between star systems, leaving only empty space where thriving trade routes once existed. On the agricultural world of Zeph Prime, farmer warriors tended massive fields of grain that fed the entire Zephyrian military. The planet had never seen warfare, protected by its distance from any conflict zone. The inhabitants felt completely safe. Dr. Eric Johnson watched from orbit as invisible drones spread modified Earth bacteria across the alien crops. The microscopic organisms were harmless to humans, but deadly to Zephyrian food sources. Within days, entire continents of farmland began to wither and die. Biological warfare, Dr. Johnson noted in his report. The aliens consider it dishonorable. They prefer direct combat weapon against weapon. They have no defense against an enemy that attacks their food supply. News of the crop failures reached the Zephyrian capital within a week. Military officials who had laughed at human weakness now faced the reality of feeding their trillion-citizen empire with failing harvests. The humans are using poison, reported Minister Velkoth to the Zephyrian High Council. Our crops are dying across 17 worlds. Food production has dropped by 60%. High Counselor Vextar, the same alien who had mocked human pleas for peace, now faced a strategic nightmare. How is this possible? Humans have no biological weapons. They do now, came the grim reply. General Pete Davis led his ground forces in the first direct assault on a Zephyrian military base. The planet Kethavar housed the enemy's primary weapons manufacturing facility, heavily defended by automated systems and veteran warriors. The Zephyrians expected orbital bombardment, followed by mass infantry assault. Instead, human forces used combined arms tactics that confused every defensive protocol the aliens had developed. Charlie Company, advance under smoke cover. Delta Company, provide suppressing fire from the ridgeline. Artillery, target coordinates Alpha 77. Human tanks moved in coordinated formations while infantry squads flanked enemy positions. Aircraft provided close air support while engineers cleared obstacle courses. The Zephyrians had never faced an enemy that used all these elements together. They fight like a single organism, reported the base commander as his forces crumbled. Each unit supports the others. We cannot isolate and destroy them individually. The humans took the weapons facility in 18 hours, capturing advanced alien technology and destroying manufacturing equipment. More importantly, they broadcast the entire battle across galactic communication networks. Dr. Eric Johnson's psychological warfare campaign reached every corner of Zephyrian space. His messages played on public communication channels in military briefings, and even in private homes. Citizens of the Zephyrian Empire, his recorded voice announced in perfect alien language. Your leaders told you that humans were weak. They said we would surrender without a fight. Look around you. Your fleets are gone. Your food is dying. Your weapons factories are burning. We are the species that conquered our own world before we reached the stars. What did you think would happen when you attacked our children? The messages had their intended effect. Across Zephyrian space, civilian populations began to panic. Military morale collapsed as soldiers realized they were fighting an enemy that used tactics their training had never addressed. The first surrender came from Battle Group Kethmar, a formation of 37 ships that had been trapped in the outer rim when their supply lines were cut. Admiral Morseth, a veteran of 12 campaigns, made the decision that shocked the galaxy. This is Admiral Morseth of the Zephyrian 4th Fleet. We surrender to human forces. We have no food, no ammunition, and no hope of victory. We ask for mercy. Captain Alex Turner, now commanding a full battle group, accepted the surrender with professional courtesy. Admiral, your crews will be treated according to galactic conventions. Your ships will be impounded, and your officers will be detained for questioning. The surrender was broadcast across the galaxy within hours. For the first time in recorded history, a major Zephyrian fleet had given up without being destroyed. Other alien species watched these events with growing alarm. The Vorthan hive mind sent urgent messages to the Galactic Council, demanding intervention. The Quarians began moving their own fleets away from human space. The peaceful Altarians called for immediate peace negotiations. But Jake Morrison was not finished. In his command center, he studied intelligence reports from across Zephyrian territory. Food shortages were spreading. Military units were abandoning their posts. Civilian governments were beginning to question their leaders' decision to attack humanity. Sir, reported Lisa Carter, we're receiving communication requests from 17 different Zephyrian colonies. They want to surrender individually, separate from the main empire. What about the High Council? Jake asked, still refusing to negotiate. High Counselor Vextar has declared that the Empire will fight to the last warrior. Jake Morrison smiled coldly. Then we'll accommodate him. Colonel Parker, I want Ghost Battalion to begin deep penetration operations. It's time to bring this war to their homeworld. Sir, are you authorizing operations on Zephyria Prime itself? I am. The aliens started this war by attacking our civilians. They want to see what human warfare really looks like. We'll show them. In the deepest parts of space, Human stealth ships moved toward the heart of the Zephyrian Empire. Their mission was simple: end the war by any means necessary. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the species they had dismissed as primitive systematically dismantled one of the most powerful military forces in known space. The humans weren't just winning battles. They were rewriting the rules of warfare itself, and the worst was yet to come. The Galactic Council chambers had never been so quiet. Representatives from 12 species sat in stunned silence as holographic displays showed the collapse of the Zephyrian Empire. In 6 months, humans had reduced the galaxy's most feared military power to a collection of starving, desperate colonies. High Counselor Vextar's surrender message played for the 3rd time. The once proud Zephyrian leader looked broken as he spoke from his flagship's bridge. Behind him, smoke filled the air and sparks flew from damaged systems. To all human forces, Vextar's voice cracked with exhaustion. The Zephyrian Empire formally surrenders. We ask for mercy. We ask for peace. Please, no more. The message ended, leaving the council chamber in absolute silence. Hive-mind Zelka of the Vorthens clicked her mandibles nervously. The sound echoed through the vast space like breaking bones. How? Whispered Counselor Thane of the Quarians. His crystalline form flickered with confused patterns of light. They were primitives. They used metal projectiles and chemical explosives. The chamber doors opened with a soft hiss. Secretary Helen Ross walked in, followed by a small group of human advisors. She wore a simple black suit, but her presence filled the enormous room. Behind her came Admiral Tony Mitchell, commander of Earth's combined fleet. Every alien eye in the chamber fixed on the humans. 6 months ago, these beings had been dismissed as weak insects. Now they commanded the attention of species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. Honorable counselors, Helen Ross said, her voice calm and steady. I bring greetings from President Dan Clark and the United Earth government. She activated a holographic projector, filling the air above the council table with images and data. The aliens saw detailed records of every war crime, every illegal act, every violation of galactic law committed by council members over the past century. The Vorthen hive mind has been harvesting genetic material from sentient species without consent, Helen continued. The Quarians have strip-mined 47 inhabited worlds. The Altarians have been using mind control on primitive species to create slave populations. These are internal matters, protested the Altarian representative, her voice like rustling leaves. They do not concern humans. Helen Ross smiled coldly. Everything concerns humans now. You made it our concern when you laughed at our request for peace. You made it our concern when you allowed genocide against our people. Admiral Mitchell stepped forward. His uniform was decorated with medals from the recent campaign, each one representing a Zephyrian defeat. The Zephyrian Empire has lost 60% of their fleet and 40% of their territory. Their remaining forces are scattered across the outer rim, barely surviving on emergency rations. This is what you call victory? Hive Mind Zelka demanded. You have destroyed an entire civilization. We defended ourselves, Helen replied. The Zephyrians chose to attack human civilians. They chose to ignore our pleas for peace. They chose war. We simply gave them what they wanted. The human secretary walked around the council table, looking each alien representative in the eye. Her small human form seemed to tower over beings 3 times her size. Earth is withdrawing from the Galactic Treaty of Mutual Defense, she announced. We are establishing an independent human defense zone encompassing all systems within 50 light-years of Earth. You cannot do this, protested the Vorthen. Galactic law requires council approval for territorial changes. Galactic law? Helen laughed, and the sound sent chills through every alien in the chamber. Where was galactic law when our children were being murdered? We tried your laws. We tried your diplomacy. We tried your peaceful methods. You rejected them all, President. Dan Clark's image appeared on the chamber's main screen. The leader of Earth looked directly into the cameras, his words reaching every inhabited world in the galaxy. For 50 years, humanity has tried to join galactic civilization as peaceful partners, he said. We offered our knowledge, our resources, our friendship. In return, we were mocked, dismissed, and finally attacked. We asked for peace. You gave us war, we mastered your rules and played your game better than you ever could. The president's image leaned forward, his eyes hard as steel. Let this be a lesson to every species watching. Humans are not prey. We are not victims. We are apex predators who conquered our own world before we reached the stars. We have been holding back, trying to be civilized. That ends now. Helen Ross placed a data crystal on the council table. This contains the complete records of Zephyrian war crimes against humanity. It also contains our demands for reparations and territorial adjustments. You have 72 hours to respond. And if we refuse? Asked Counselor Thane. Admiral Mitchell answered with a voice like grinding metal. Then we continue our expansion into Zephyrian space. The choice is yours. The human delegation began to leave the chamber. As they reached the doors, Helen Ross turned back one final time. Oh, and counselors? Several other species have already requested non-aggression pacts with Earth. The Centauri Federation, the Tau Ceti Alliance, and the Independent Worlds Coalition all want to establish peaceful relations with humanity. It seems word of our capabilities has spread. After the humans left, the council chamber remained silent for nearly an hour. Finally, Hive Mind Zelka spoke in a whisper. What have we done? Across the galaxy, the effects of humanity's victory rippled through every inhabited system. Alien children were told bedtime stories about the terrifying humans who had brought the mighty Zephyrian Empire to its knees. Military academies began studying human tactics, trying to understand warfare methods that seemed to break every established rule. On Earth, General Jake Morrison stood in his office, looking at star charts that showed the new reality of galactic politics. Red zones marked human-controlled space, expanding steadily outward from Earth. Blue areas showed allied territories, species that had chosen friendship over conflict with humanity. His aide, a young officer named Lieutenant Sarah Wells, entered with the latest intelligence reports. Sir, we're receiving surrender offers from 12 more Zephyrian colonies. They want to join human space rather than remain with the Empire. Jake nodded slowly. Accept them all, but they'll be protectorates, not full members. They need to prove they can live in peace with humans. What about the Council's response to our demands? They'll accept, Jake said with certainty. They have no choice. We've shown them what happens when they threaten human civilians. They know we're not bluffing about expanding our operations. 6 months later, human ships patrolled star systems that had been enemy territory. Former Zephyrian worlds now flew Earth flags, their populations grateful for protection from the chaos consuming their former empire. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about underestimating humanity. The species that had seemed weak and primitive had proven to be the most dangerous predators in known space. They fought not just with superior tactics and technology, but with a ruthless determination that terrified civilizations that had never faced real adversity. In the deepest parts of space, human exploration fleets pushed further into the unknown, carrying a simple message to any species they encountered. Earth offered friendship to those who chose peace and destruction to those who chose war. The galaxy would never be the same.